What is going on, guys? This is the Club of the Man 1993, and just fairly recently, it was announced finally, the Phenom is taking his rightful place in the WWE Hall of Fame. I believe it was announced like a week and a half ago that the Undertaker will be headlining the class of 2022 Hall of Fame. And yes, long well deserved, as it seemed that the Boneyard match at WrestleMania 36 was finally the settling conclusion for the Undertaker to settle his career, as we saw in in that last ride series on WWE Network. As Undertaker was just trying to find that perfect ending that he probably could have had sooner, but he kept going, and wanting to just find that one perfect ending for him. But every time he did, his body was wearing down. But he had a match at Extreme Rules 2019 with Roman Reigns. He teamed up with them. They called themselves the Graveyard Dogs. They took on Shane McMahon and Drew McIntyre. Of course, at first, according to the last ride, that's when Undertaker, originally first told Vince, I think that's it. But then AJ Styles talked him into one more match, and they did. Of course, I don't think it was. I don't know if the pandemic didn't happen, if it was supposed to be the Boneyard match, but that was the perfect way for Undertaker to go out. He basically showed off all personas in that cinematic match. It was a great way to celebrate his career. And, I do agree, a lot of people think that the way he announced retirement pretty much was, probably not how Mark Callaway would want to do that. Coming, just coming out to an arena with, just, with just, virtual fans. I'm pretty sure it's not how Taker would like to go out. He may have not had a choice. And again, honestly, with the pandemic going on, we may not have known for sure when it was going to happen, when he was going to get another chance to do so. And with him, obviously, going back and forth of like when he, about him not being satisfied with his last match that he kept having, I kind of see why he basically his hands were tied at the moment. But other than him wrapping up the career, what can we say about the Undertaker? 25-2, I believe it was, at WrestleMania. He went 20-0 before Brock Lesnar broke the streak, or ended the streak at WrestleMania 30. Still will not forget how silent the room was when he lost that match. It was not one of his best matches, that's for sure. But even when I go back and watch like SummerSlams and all the WrestleManias, it was obvious to me at first that Taker, was a little green for a while. His first several WrestleMania matches, they weren't really, they weren't some of his best matches. But of course, as years went on, he just, he different personas, the American Badass, Ministry of Darkness, whatever heck they called it, all of his gimmicks, he made them work. He seriously became the greatest of all time. Or at least in the top 5, I would say. Multiple time world champion. He had his runs with Kane when they were the Brothers of Destruction. Paul Bearer was an excellent manager for him, of course, over the years. Rest his soul as well. as a late bloomer wrestling fan, I've definitely, watched a good series of his matches. The first ever Undertaker match I did actually watch was, of course, the first ever Wrestlemania I ever watched was Wrestlemania 29. His match was CM Punk, which was an outstanding match. It's not on my list for this year, but that should be a match that's one year I should do retro live reactions for that match. Of course, one match that always stands out is one of my favorite matches, of course, that I went back and watched, is definitely his match with Triple H at WrestleMania 28, End of an Era. Oh my goodness. Again, as still early in my wrestling, in my wrestling days, and just seeing, so like the story being told there, the craziness, that my favorite kickouts when Shawn Michaels was special guest referee did a super kick to Taker into Triple H hitting a freaking pedigree, Taker kicking out. I was like, how did that happen? But he always, other matches I can mention that I liked. He definitely his match he had with Randy Orton at WrestleMania. Obviously his matches with Shawn Michaels. WrestleMania 25. Probably everybody says, and I can probably agree, the greatest wrestling match ever. Not Randy Orton and Edge at Backlash in 2020, which that was still a good match, but it was not the greatest match of all time. Still think his match with Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania 25 was the best. And of course, you can definitely make an argument that WrestleMania 36 career versus the streak was also outstanding as well. He definitely had, a ton of excellent matches. I probably didn't even get to watch, since, I saw him in his part-time days or whatnot. But, even long before I became a wrestling fan, even if you're just a casual viewer, even if you don't watch wrestling, you know who The Undertaker is. You know who Mark Callaway is. And the American Badass, the Phenom, the Dead Man, has finally taken his spot, and he'll be headlining the WWE Hall of Fame class of 2022. Now, here's the thing, though. This is what I'm wondering. As of now, SmackDown just started about 20 minutes ago. As of now, he's the only person who's been announced for the Hall of Fame. And apparently the Hall of Fame is going to be airing after the Friday after SmackDown. On the go-home show for WrestleMania for SmackDown. Could Undertaker maybe be the only person being inducted this year? Could it be others? Because I don't know what they're going to do for the Hall of Fame. If he is the only one, if there's anyone who deserves like a sole Hall of Fame ceremony, the only person to be inducted, it's definitely the Dead Man. But we'll have to wait and see what happens. But I definitely agree, 100%, long overdue, Mark Callaway, The Undertaker, the Dead Man, the Phenom, the American Badass, whatever else he was called throughout his career, finally has taken his rightful place in the WWE Hall of Fame class of 2022. What are your thoughts on this, guys? What are your thoughts on The Undertaker finally getting into the WWE Hall of Fame? What were your thoughts on his career? What were some of your favorite matches Undertaker had? Was there any matches he didn't get to have that you would like to see? Me, personally, if I could name two, him and Sting, I would probably say him and Aleister Black. I'd say, those are probably the two matches I wish I would have gotten to see Undertaker have. But even if he would wrestle right now, again, he's just... his body is worn down on him. Like, he's definitely not. He'd come in and do like a segment here and there, hit like a choke slam or a tombstone. But I don't think we're going to ever be able to see Undertaker have, like a long wrestling match ever again. Like, I really think at this point, him and AJ, that was the best way to end his career. But that's my thoughts. What are your thoughts, guys, once again? If there's anybody else who's going to be inducted to the Hall of Fame as well, leave your thoughts in the comment section below. Be sure as always to slap a like on the video. Subscribe for more content to my channel. Follow me on Twitter at DemandAirboy93. And once again, guys, congratulations to Mark Callaway, a.k.a. The Undertaker, being inducted into the WWE Class of 2022 Hall of Fame.